This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Game's over. Time to check my fantasy scores.
You using a VPN?
Why?
Because using public Wi-Fi without a VPN is like leaving your wallet open on the table.
Oh. Time to up my defense.
McAfee Secure VPN keeps your personal information private and is included in all McAfee plans starting at just $39.99 for your first year. Sign up at McAfee.com/online protection.
We're back for another episode of our Coaching Coordinator Network Best of 2025 series, where we revisit the conversations that most clearly shaped how coaches thought about the game this year. Today's episode comes from our Art of Practice series presented by GoRout and features Scott Strohmeier, head coach at Iowa Western, and Keegan O'Hara, assistant quarterbacks coach at Minnesota. Their conversation centers on tempo in practice and why speed only works when structure, communication, and teaching remain aligned. This series also led us to create the Coaching Coordinator AI Art of Practice Companion, a practice design and audit tool built directly from these episodes to help coaches evaluate structure, efficiency, communication, and tempo without changing scheme. The Art of Practice series is presented by GoRout, a practice, communication, and management platform coaches use to deliver play calls, manage tempo, and reduce friction so teaching stays at the center of practice. You can learn more at GoRout.com. This episode stood out because it reinforces a truth we heard throughout 2025 on this series. Tempo is not a style choice. It's the result of preparation, clarity, and consistent practice structure that holds up when pressure increases. Let's get into one of the most impactful conversations on practice of the year.
Really changed a lot when we moved up tempo, though, to where you're not redoing plays over and over. You're going to do it. Hopefully you're going to coach it from the film, and we cut it down to, it might have been 2013 or 14 where we're down to 90-minute practices. So it's just short, efficient. We get still the same amount of plays, probably more quality plays in now than we did when we were practicing for 3 hours.
Having guys take reps in the back is huge. They may only get 2 or 3 reps in a period, but those 2 and 3 reps full speed are just as important as the reps that they're getting when they're not in. I think that's a big component of tempo, of practice, of if you are going to shorten it down, make sure guys are getting reps. Even in the back, as mental reps are just as important as the physical reps of it. You want to slow things down and make sure things get coached on the field. I'm kind of a believer, and I've developed this over time, of let's rep the plays and let's make the mistake on the field, and then let's go back and coach it in the classroom because it takes the stress off their body.
Welcome to another episode of The Art of Practice presented by GoRout. This series is about helping coaches master the art of practice by increasing efficiency, maximizing reps, and creating structured systems that translate to game day success. Throughout this series, we'll bring in top coaches, innovators, and thought leaders to share their best strategies for improving football practice at all levels. Today, we're talking with Scott Strohmeier, head coach of Iowa Western Community College, and Keegan O'Hara, offensive assistant at the University of Minnesota. We'll dive into their approach to mastering practice tempo. This episode of The Art of Practice is brought to you by GoRout, the leader in on-field communication. GoRout helps coaches eliminate huddles, increase reps, and maximize efficiency with their game-changing technology. Sign up using the code COORDINATOR for up to 50% off setup fees at GoRout.com/podcast. That's GoRout.com/podcast using promo code COORDINATOR for up to 50% off setup fees today. We're here today to talk about mastering tempo in practice. And that doesn't always mean that you have to have an up-tempo practice, though you're certainly going to hear about some of the ideas that teams use to be able to be very efficient in practice and create a practice that has the stressors of the game. And joining me to discuss this, the head coach at Iowa Western Community College, Scott Strohmeier, and offensive assistant quarterbacks coach at the University of Minnesota, Keegan O'Hara. Guys, welcome to both of you, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk about practice with us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, guys, let's start with this general idea first of the tempo of practice and your philosophy, your thoughts on why it's really important to think about how are we going to get through practice? How are we going to move through periods? How do we create the most efficient practice possible? Scott, we'll just start with you and get your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think I remember the days when we felt you had to have a 3-hour practice, where you're going through all these plays, you're redoing all these plays throughout. And that's how I started in my coaching as an assistant to when I first became a head coach. And, you're going for a long time. And, the kids, it is a long time. It's a long time for the kids. It's a long time for the coaches. And so we always tried to figure out a way can we shorten it down health-wise? There's lots of things that have changed from then to now, but health-wise and maximizing your time. And I think, one, you have to have a good plan. Your staff has to be on the same page of going from segment to segment. I don't have the staff of, some of the bigger schools, so you have to be pretty organized and they have to know where to go and how you're going to do it. And it really changed a lot when we moved up tempo, though. To where, you're not redoing plays over and over. You're going to do it. Hopefully you're going to coach it from the film. And, we cut it down to, it might have been 2013 or 14 where we're down to 90-minute practices, so it's just short, efficient. We get still the same amount of plays, probably more quality plays in now than we did when we were practicing for 3 hours.
Right. Keegan, you've had some experiences at different colleges under different head coaches, obviously now under Coach Fleck at Minnesota. You've seen it done a lot of different ways, and I think you've been able to learn a lot about putting a practice together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been around a couple different places where we've gone extreme tempo. We're going, like Scott said, 90-minute practices. I've been a part of the 2.5-hour practices where kind of slowed the pace of it down, and some that have been 2 hours where you get a mix of both depending on kind of what the offense is. I think the biggest part, like Scott said, was keeping the guys engaged is very hard when you have a long practice. One thing that we kind of do here at Minnesota is every single period it's a full sprint to every single different period of practice that we do, because once you have the guys sitting around and not engaged, that's when they start to lose interest, especially guys that aren't taking as many reps. Having guys take reps in the back is huge when it is team periods, because when you do shorten down a practice, you may not have the ability to get everybody in for 5 or 6 reps. They may only get 2 or 3 reps in a period, but those 2 and 3 reps full speed are just as important as the reps that they're getting when they're not in. I think that's a big component of tempo, of practice, of if you are going to shorten it down, make sure guys are getting reps even in the back, as mental reps are just as important as the physical reps of it. And, seeing different practices of long ones to short ones. What kind of style is your team? Are you a fast team? Are you up tempo? Are you slow where you want to slow things down and make sure things get coached on the field? I'm kind of a believer, and I've developed this over time, of let's rep the plays and let's make the mistake on the field, and then let's go back and coach it in the classroom, because it takes the stress off their body of getting hundreds of plays in throughout practice, and let's cut it down to 70, 80 quality actual full speed reps, whether it's a 7-on an inside run or a team period, and group periods as well. So that's that.
I know, Scott, that's something you hinted to in the transition to being an up-tempo team and being able to do more in practice, and mentioned coaching it off film too, right? That I think all of this is, when you go up-tempo, you still have to teach, right? So where, probably Scott, you and I, Keegan's younger, but we grew up with, those classrooms on the field, right? Someone would mess up a rep and you're like, oh my God, not again. And, you have the meeting out there, and it was really inefficient, but the emphasis was probably for our coaches 100% on learning and getting that rep right and then doing it again. So now it's changed. And I think this has changed whether you're a no huddle team or a huddle team, but would love to hear just, again, making sure that those things that they don't get tossed to the side, that you still have the learning, even though you've sped practice up.
Well, and I think, you heard that, we all heard the saying, coaching on the run. That was, the big thing is like, but you have to be like, think for me, a lot of times, even with the quarterbacks, is you have some one word little phrases that you're going to say, you know what I mean? So I don't have to stop it and say, okay, on this play, you needed to do this, this, or this, it might be footwork, might be drop, might be, plant leg, balance, whatever it may be, the apex defender, or flat defender, whatever, so you don't have to go through it, and they have to understand that. And that starts from in meetings and just meeting with the kids where they kind of get your language as well. Is there times where we have to, but it's not going to be in that segment of plays. It's going to be when they're done, and then it may be the next group started already, but I may pull them aside, and then I can explain it a little bit more if I felt you have to do that. But yeah, I think it's like across the board, just the kids got to understand your language a little bit, and that comes from meetings.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be efficient with language to be able to teach in an up-tempo environment, and I guess, pilots, whether it's Naval or Air Force or whatever, they talk about brevity code. They are operating at such a high speed with everything they do that they can't communicate in sentences. They need to communicate in one or two words. And we're able to set up a lot of our coaching cues to work that way. So when you say those one or two words or that short phrase, you're communicating as much as you did as when our coaches used to slow things down and give us that, speech on the field about how we need to run that play. But what's interesting, I think what I've seen in this evolution of practice is teams like Minnesota, Keegan, you guys huddle. But if you went to your practice, you would probably think you guys were the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, absolutely. We are a full huddle team. Obviously, you still have a little mix of the tempo with it, but as a full huddle team, to keep the pace of tempo going, one thing we do with the shot clock in general is we don't have a 40-second play clock for every single play. We cut it down to, it used to be 32. We kind of had a little leeway with Coach Fleck. Hey, we are huddle now. We have some long calls. Can we get an extra 2-3 seconds here? So he was grateful and bumping that up a little bit for the offense to about 34, 35 seconds now. But when you're interchanging personnels and newer guys are going in the huddle, guys are leaving the huddle, you still have to work on that communication. And so when you cut that time down of the shot clock, it's now focusing your offense or even your defense to ramp up the communication when the shot clock and the tempo of practice is moving. One thing that is critical of coaching after a play is there's about a 4 to 6 second time gap from when that play ends to where you can still focus on that play that just happened, whether it was good or bad from one of your players, of hitting those buzzwords with him or correcting him or praising him for what he did. And then after that 4 to 6 seconds, you got to move on to the next play because they're not going to remember what you just said if you drag out, like what we're saying right now, if you drag out that coaching point, it's just going to go right past them and it's not going to make sense to them. So if you just hit it for 4 to 6 seconds and then just move on, we'll get it back again in the classroom and on the film. To your point of we are fast tempo, and that creates a chaos throughout practice. And it's a good chaos because if we make practice harder, then come to Saturday or whatever day we're going to play, it makes things slow down. And we're at a faster tempo, even though we're not a tempo team, but we're able to control the chaos of a game, and the game doesn't feel as chaotic as it is anymore with people in the stands or happen to be on TV. If you create that chaos and practice with tempo, it slows it down on Saturdays.
So paint us a picture of what that looks like in practice. We know Coach Strohmeier, what that's going to look like. It's going to look like a game. Those guys are throwing up the signals. They're getting lined up really quick and going. You guys are still going to huddle in practice, though, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
What does help you? One, the clock is shorter for you, but what other things do you need to do from a procedural standpoint in practice that you're maximizing and getting those reps off as fast as possible?
Yeah, luckily we have the helmet communication that we do everything through the helmet communication to get in the personnel. The biggest thing in creating the tempo is getting the right personnel in the huddle every time. We don't have it's like, oh, the ones are going for 4 plays straight. No, like every single play, there's different guys going in. We purposely change the personnel every play so that we're working on the procedural part of the communication, getting all 11, the correct 11 in the huddle, break the huddle, the shifting and moving with the clock. Okay, we have kills and alerts in our offense that the quarterback has to control on the field. If he feels, okay, I have a 32-second clock, but I have to read this play, break the huddle, shift this guy, motion this guy, make a kill. Now that's putting pressure on him to see it faster. And now you move to a Saturday. Now you have a whole 40-second play clock to go through that whole operation. And that whole operation is now slowed down and is giving you more time on the clock. You may have been set for an actual 32 seconds. Well, I still have 8 seconds to maybe make another adjustment, or maybe make a protection change, flip it to with a different call to go to the left side from the right side. So using the clock, I think, is a huge proponent. And then everybody plays music at practice when we really jack up the sound of it to just amplify the over communication. That is the number one stressor throughout practice, is both sides of the ball over communicating with the guys on the field. Because at the end of the day, if you guys aren't aligned, then it's never going to go down the way you want it to go on the field.
Yeah, and I imagine for a huddle team like yours, lock being very important in creating that heightened sense of awareness, of paying attention to what's going on versus
Absolutely.
what you might see at some huddle teams. You go out to maybe a high school practice and it looks slow, but you want to make sure that we're thinking here and everybody's listening, like you said, communicating.
Yeah, absolutely. It trains the quarterback and the offense to have the urgency to break out of the huddle. Because the quicker we get to the line of scrimmage, say there's 17 seconds on the clock, quarterback's sitting back there like, okay, I have all the time in the world to make all the things I need to do. If we get to the line of scrimmage fast, I know I can move and change IDs if I need to, and it allows him to feel, how long can I go down on that clock to where, like, okay, I got to get this ball off. Like, I can't make this adjustment anymore. I got to live with it. And we may not be in the absolute perfect play, but we're getting into the play that we can still execute it.
Yeah, and Coach Strohmeier, for you guys, looking at the up-tempo, obviously you want to figure out, just like they are, we still want to be efficient with that time, cut seconds off, become better at our procedures. And what's been great, and I've talked to so many coaches who have the finest coaching points about how the offensive line moves to the ball and how they're looking at the sideline for their signals, how the receivers align. It's really refining those details. We'd love to hear how you guys have done that.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I'm just kind of going through some spring practice plans, was before this, and some of the things how we have to do it, because sometimes you sit the ball at the 30-yard line, you run a play, your receivers got to run back, and if you stay there, you got to continue spring. So we want to move the ball as much as we can. So like in spring, we may start at the goal line, go the 20, the 40, the 40, the 20. So we're working in all situations maybe, but that's putting them that whatever, regardless of what happens on that play, the O-linemen are sprinting up 20 yards. The ball's already spotted. So it don't matter if it's a tackle, incomplete pass or whatever it may be. So, that's one of the ways for us to really try to, move it. Now, sometimes we don't have the luxuries of having multiple fields, so it gets challenging like during the season. So you have to be creative in ways of trying to move the football a little bit. I don't care if it's even 5 yards, but so they're running, they're getting the signals as they're running, getting lined up as they're running has really helped us in trying to move it as much as we possibly can. But when we're in spring, we'll move it all the time. Well, we won't stay 7-on-7, from the 40-yard line. We're going to move it, and it's going to change. Maybe it's a down and distance every time we move it, that we can kind of go from there.
Coaches, if you're looking to maximize reps and create game-like tempo in practice, look no further than GoRout. With instant play call delivery, real-time adjustments, and seamless integration within your existing playbooks, GoRout allows your team to get the most out of every rep. Visit GoRout.com today to see how top programs across the country are using it to level up their practices. Coach, from your experience, mistakes that I guess do you see, and coaches especially early on, I think we all learn as we go, who are going to implement up-tempo, no-huddle type of offense, in structuring practice, what are some of the common mistakes you see that coaches make early on?
Well, I think trying to get as many plays as possible. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was right away. Like, we're going to try, we got a 15 minute segment. We're running plays for 20 minutes. I don't care if it's on the script, we're going back over the script. Where now you kind of get to a segment of saying, okay, how many plays do we want to get in this 7-on-7 period, or this team period, or this run play action period? And what we're finding out is we're getting them done in the faster times. So now we adjust our practice schedules a little bit. But the biggest thing for me when we started, it was we were running too many plays. Like, we couldn't even get through the practice film because we were running so many plays in that when we were still going that hour or 2 hour practice or whatever it was. So that doesn't help you either if you can't get through all the film and you're not correcting those mistakes either.
Sure, and I'm sure there, over the course of the season, there is that wear and tear on your player too. We run so fast that we get 200 reps in practice, but that's also 200 reps of running around. So
one of the best things too is sometimes I'll tell her we had 24 plays in this period, and they don't have an idea how long this period is. And you see them move a little bit faster. That means sometimes they'll get a little bit more rest at the end of it. We'll give it in between the next segment or whatever it may be. But they pick up the pace too a little bit, rather than when we always used to go do it over. We call it turbo, run it over, keep doing it. And then finally they're like, when's this period going to end? They don't even care what plays are going, type of thing.
Yeah. There's the mental side of it too. You want to be sharp, and sometimes you can sharpen that sword dull. Mm-hmm. Keegan, same question to you. And I know you're a different type of offense in how you have it procedurally, but I'm sure, you see some people make some of those mistakes in how they go through practice with the way that you operate.
Yeah, I think a big thing that we do, especially in season, as the season gets towards maybe the middle third and the last third of the season, is we do a lot more group periods where we will slow the tempo down, where we essentially use it at 78% of our top speed. Okay, so we're not full speed running it, but we're still getting the mental work and similar to a game speed, but maybe not getting all the wear and tear in our body of the bump in and the hands on as you would in a full team period. And I think that's a big component to saving their bodies, especially at the receiver position. But it's always a thing on Wednesdays for us is our third down day. And we always say, today's going to be a track meet. And hopefully we got the track shoes on because we're going to be running for days. And so a lot of times we'll get the protection part of it done in a group period. And so those are going to be longer periods because it's going to save the legs of the receivers. They're going at 75, 78% of their top speed, just going through it. We won't throw the ball, but it allows the quarterback, because, at the end of the day, practice has to be centered around, especially with an offense, around your quarterback, of getting the protection, seeing the different coverage shells, seeing the different odd eyes, the overload fronts at as full speed as we possibly can, but also taking the banging off of the O-line. And then when we want to get the actual throws in, that's where we'll go 7-on-7, and maybe we'll only hit it for about 8 to 10 reps in that 7-on period, where this is a full go period, but that's the only full go period we have of the day. We have 2 of them. So you're still taking, especially it's week 7, week 8 of the season, and you're banging with your O-line and your D-lines, where let's move it to a group period and still get all the same work. And sometimes we even think it's better work because things slow down just a little bit and you can hone in on those details in the group period.
Yeah, definitely. Well, getting into the other side of this, the one thing that really does affect us in practice, and this is true on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, we can be efficient as we want with our unit that we're getting ready. But if our if our scout team can't operate with the same efficiency we are, we're in trouble. So what have been the best things you guys have found to address that, not only just to get them the plays quickly, but also make sure that they're doing the right things? They have to value the quality of that rep as much as you value it, meaning that they need to do the right things, align the right way, have the little nuances in different alignments or techniques or whatever it might be. So Keegan, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah. One thing that we use at Minnesota, and I've actually used at other places in the past, has been GoRout. And I've said it, I just finished year 8 of coaching, and only 1 year did I not use GoRout. And I remember being in the middle of that year and being like, I'll never not use GoRout ever again, because it's an absolute game changer with creating that tempo in practice and being able to go, a 12 play a period and getting it done in 5 minutes, even with a huddle offense, because you send that play right away. And maybe that guy that isn't the absolute important part of a look team, I can send him the play. I don't have to run over to him and show him the card or be like, hey man, you're just dropping quarters here. Like, he's not the important part of the defense or the look team. I may go send the play and go to a specific guy being like, hey, you got to make sure you do the right thing here because you're the guy that we're looking at. Or maybe I'll coach him up with a different point. And I've been on the side of running the scout team, and using GoRout in that aspect has been absolute game changer to get the play fast and maybe not hit every guy, because they can just look at the card, look at the phone in that aspect. And the way we do the cards is, I think, a unique way. And I've done it from the paper copies with the Sharpies to now our entire staff has iPads, and we'll draw the scout cards on GoodNotes and collaborate that document so that everybody can see the card at real time when we're drawing them. We'll have our typical card parties, just like everybody is accustomed to, of sitting there early in the morning for a morning practice team, going through it, and then easily uploading those to our GoRoutes. I mean, just minutes before we go out to practice, and having those ready. I think using that, I can never not use GoRout ever again.
Coach Strohmeier, I know you're a GoRout user as well. And certainly if you are trying to run fast, you need that defense running fast too.
Yeah. Keegan, when you said game changer, it is a complete game changer. And being at the 2-year college level, and we don't have, again, the staff. So sometimes my O-line coach would be on the D-line, making sure they're doing what they're doing, and my wide receiver coach is doing what the back end's doing. And to where we would, before GoRout, A, we couldn't play very fast, but 2, we would stay in the same formation or the same defense for 5 plays in a row. And we may change it offensively, but at least we got the same group. Here's what you got. Stay in the same thing and then roll it. Where now, it's been, like I said, a complete game changer for us to, getting those kids to get them on, look at them. And just like Keegan said too, there may be 1 or 2 guys that you want to make sure you're rolling down, make sure you roll down. We need to see that, or, the blitz or whatever it show it, and those types of things. So those are the biggest things for us. And I spend most of my time on the offensive side of the ball, and it's been a complete game changer defensively for our defense with our scout offense too, from a standpoint of it's just way more efficient. We're not holding up a card, waiting for him to come back. And then you're upset because this guy's taking his time to get back. All those things, like literally they can just buzz it, look at it, or look at the phone or the device, and away we go. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I don't know how many people I've told about these at the small school levels that if you don't have those, you're missing out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the pricing has made it so affordable too. I have one of my former players is at a small high school, small budget. They actually don't have a full set. So they have it for their back end, the guys who would be farthest away. And then I think they have either 1 or 2 for inside, that a few guys are getting together, looking at the same thing and go. So you don't necessarily have to say, man, I don't have the budget for this. Like, you could build to it, right?
Yes.
I think even a small set, you think about the difference if you want to be an up-tempo team and be able to face what you're going to face on the back end, right? Rolling coverages different ways, whatever, but still remaining fast. I mean, even if you had to run inside and get the guys a card inside while you're doing it, you're just going to increase that speed. So even at a small scale, this is going to help you in practice.
And we have 22 right now, maybe 24, where we split them offense, defense. Once we run through our 4 or 5 play series, they got to replace it, so the guy comes in. There's a little bit of transition, but there's also a little transition for our guys to get off the field, and the next group huddles on the sideline to run out there. So it's not like we're waiting on them. So that's been the biggest thing too.
Keegan, what's your setup look like?
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly how many we have, but we have enough for all 11 on each side with a few backup guys here and there. But how we kind of deploy our coaches on the scout team with being a bigger staff is one guy's running the phone. I've always been the guy running the phone when I ran scout team. This is actually, I would say I graduated off scout team coming this upcoming season, so finally made it out. But I would run it on the back half, and I would send it to the guys on my phone, and again, hit those one guys, and we'd have another coach on the other sideline just being like, hey, you good? You got it, what you need there. And so we were able to split it up that way. And then you still have you still use the coaches to help teach these guys and make sure they have the look right. So it doesn't completely eliminate it if you have the resources to have all those coaches on the field, but it just speeds it up at a dramatic pace that you can never do if you're constantly running in. I think as being in Minnesota, we can get some crazy weather, and I know down there at Iowa, you get the rain, you get the snow, you get the Midwest weather, and you don't have to worry about the cards are soaked, dude. Like, I can't see it anymore. Like, I have no idea what this is, and the phones are covered, and I've never had an issue from bringing them to bowl games to using them on Saturday morning walkthroughs on away trips. They're just, you can use them wherever you want and at any time.
Yeah. We haven't had any issues with any of them, like not working, or, if it was, maybe it was like, getting them, I got a manager that turns them on and he's got to have them ready to go. Maybe he put it on the wrong side of the ball initially, but other than that, we haven't really had any issues.
I think what really came through as you guys were talking about how you use them, and, we're cutting the time of get in to the huddle, look at the card, get out of the huddle. When you were doing that, that's really all you had the time to do. You might throw a couple things at one of those guys, but the way you guys mentioned it is now those guys are getting coached up too. Instead of your coaches worrying about, did you see the card the right way? Are you aligning the right way? They can coach them up on things. This is about increasing the efficiency of development too. It's not just, hey, you guys get in and serve us. Like, we want to coach those guys. They're developing in some way too. Yeah, you're not one of our starters yet, but we need you to be someday, and this is going to help us do that.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, that you're not so worried about making sure everybody's in their alignments. You can coach the kid a little bit in different situations where, like I said before, hold the card up, that guy runs back and the play goes, and you go to the next one. Now you can kind of coach them up a little bit.
And the other part too is like you run in to see the card, and then you run back and you're like, wait, what did I just see? That's the other thing. It's like, just look down at your phone. Like, look it down. You didn't see it. And so, especially when you get in later in the season and everything's just starting to run together, and you can just, it's a reminder to yourself, like, okay, look down. Okay, I see it now. I remember what it just said on the card.
Well, I think even like for a scout offense, same thing. They look at a card. This guy's got a post. This guy's got a wheel, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, just you got to just look at it. You got to run in a post."
Well, to wrap up, I'm going to ask each of you, just share what you think is, I guess, a key tip, a key takeaway coaches should remember when it comes to creating an efficient practice tempo. You can go ahead. You can give yours first.
Yeah. Best way to keep the tempo and an efficient tempo is, one, making sure your staff is all on board with what you're trying to accomplish in practice, because it starts with the staff. And once the staff knows and they communicate it with the players, then the players start to pick it up themselves, and they start to understand the tempo of what we're working to accomplish. And so I think having communication on the staff will allow the communication of the players to grow. And I think making it as challenging as possible with time, like I mentioned, the play clock and the communication moving in and out of huddles from defenses and offenses, I think that's a very important thing to remember when things are moving as fast as you possibly can. Moving from one period to another and not walking in those periods, like, we got to move. That's our conditioning. So instead of not wasting a period, but saving a period at the end of your practice to do sprints or whatever it is may be, use the conditioning in the middle of practice when you have to run from one drill to another. When we go team periods, we're never, okay, if we have team periods that are backed up to each other, we may be driving from right to left. Well, the next period, it's a full sprint to the other side and flip it. There's conditioning, and you're moving the tempo of practice and creating a little bit of conditioning while you're doing it.
Gosh, I mean, you hit a lot of the things right on the head. I do think the staff has to be on the same page with everything because, there's times that all of a sudden, even if you got some new coaches or some things like that, where they don't follow the script, like, so you blow the whistle for the next period. We don't always have the segment timer in certain things, but you blow the whistle, it's time. Then they're like, where we go? And so now they're taking their time to get to it. So if they know what the next period is, then they can move it. Hey guys, we're going to inside run or whatever it may be. We're going to field goal. We're going to whatever. And I think that helps a lot. What I try to do is, and I was bad at it, and I still kind of am at times, and that's kind of, I'm evaluating it right now, is you get in the rut of the same routine every single day to where your players know that, okay, right after this period, we got indie period, and coach, he works us hard on Wednesdays in the indie period, or, okay, now we got to go to team, now we got to go to this or whatever. Change up, not necessarily, you can change any segment around, but like I'm talking in spring, I'm going to change up and just add a ball security turnover circuit for 5 minutes, and we're not going to do that every day, to where, okay, today we're going to get together and we're going to go O-line, D-line one-on-ones, and we don't do them every day, but changing them up a little bit so they don't get in that routine of, oh, now we got to go, blitz period, and I'm a scout team guy and I'm just going to get blown up, so it's kind of keeping them on the toes too, I think really helps.
Guys, a lot of great info shared and insight with our listeners here today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and giving us the details of the things you found to be successful. So best of luck to both of you. And again, thanks for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this Coach and Coordinator Network Best of 2025 episode from The Art of Practice, presented by GoRout, featuring Scott Strohmeier and Keegan O'Hara. This conversation captured what the series reinforced all year. Tempo only works when communication is clean. Efficiency matters when it protects teaching. Consistency in practice builds trust when the game speeds up. If this episode resonated with you, you can explore the full Art of Practice series for more conversations focused on practice design, communication, and player development across levels. And if you're looking for a way to streamline play call communication, manage practice tempo, and reduce friction without changing how you coach, you can learn more about GoRout at GoRout.com. Be sure to check out our Practice Design AI Companion to audit what you do in practice and get ideas for 2026. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Coach and Coordinator Network.